Day 7 of Inktober, and we have a new one, which is...
The Rift.
And just like I spewed a bunch of water droplets all in one go out of my mouth, so does a snake spew a few droplets of venom out of its mouth, is what my thought process was, and there you have it. A drip, a drop, I drip, a drop.
Gati Oh, hey.
Welcome to day 1 of Inktober 2022. It's officially that time of year, and I know it for sure because a little spider walked across my desk when I was doing this to let me know that spooky season is officially here. We're kicking things off with one of the many hauntings of England's Borley Rectory. Borley Rectory was built in 1862 and quickly became known as the most haunted house in England, with the ghost nun being one of its more prominent hauntings. According to local folklore, a monk from a monastery fell in love with a nun from a convent nearby. They planned on running away together, but after being discovered, they were sentenced to be punished, but the nun suffered a far worse fate. Brick by brick, the nun was sealed behind the walls of the convent. Her spirit has been seen roaming the land surrounding Borley, searching for her lover in hopes of running away together once more. Although many have questioned the validity of this story, there's no doubt that Borley has had its fair share of hauntings and paranormal sightings. In 1939, the house was burnt to the ground, but many people still report seeing ghostly figures on the property. Catherine Montvoisin, also known as La Voisin, was a French sorceress whose business as a fortune teller gradually developed into a business of black magic. Catherine catered to the elite circles of French aristocrats, which would eventually be her downfall. She was an herbalist, a midwife, and was often commissioned to create love powders, potions, and even poisons. The Catholic Church, of course, did not approve of anyone who claimed to have clairvoyant abilities, but Catherine convinced the vicars that her divination skills were a gift given to her by God when she was a little girl. She even employed the help of priests to perform rituals in the catacombs underneath her home. Catherine's most popular service was creating poisons, as many of her clients were in unhappy marriages and felt that this was their way out. In 1680, she was eventually discovered and was publicly burned at the stake for her crimes. You may recognize the name Bathsheba Sherman from the movie The Conjuring, but her real-life story begins in Rhode Island in 1812. Born Bathsheba Thayer, she married Judson Sherman in 1844 and gave birth to a son a few years later. Locals claimed that she was a witch who worshipped the devil and had ancestry tied to the Salem witch trials. These rumors began shortly after Bathsheba was babysitting a neighbor's son when the young boy mysteriously passed. Legend claims that she was later caught sacrificing her son to Satan with a sewing needle, cursing everyone who would ever live on her land. Although this story is only based on local folklore, there is no denying the hauntings that happened in the Perrin family home in the 1970s. On January 23, 1897, Elvizona Heaster Shue was found dead in her home. Her body was discovered by her 11-year-old neighbor, who had been sent there by her husband, Edward. When Edward came home to prepare her body for burial, he dressed her in a high-neck dress with a stiff collar. A local doctor was called to examine her body, and Edward became very agitated as the doctor examined her neck. Her cause of death was listed as everlasting faint, and her body was taken to her childhood home. Elva's mother, Mary, never liked Edward and prayed for her daughter's spirit to reveal what really happened to her, and one night she did. Elva's spirit claimed that Edward attacked her, breaking her neck. The apparition turned her head completely around before disappearing into the night. Mary went to a local prosecutor, and Elva's body was exhumed despite Edward's objections. Upon further examination, Elva's neck was completely dislocated and her windpipe had been crushed. Edward was sentenced to life in prison, and the Greenbrier ghost has become known as the only case in which a ghost helped solve a crime and convict a murderer. The Latin phrase memento mori translates to "remember that you must die." It is an artistic tradition that serves as a visual reminder of our own mortality and has been used since the medieval period. The most common motif of a memento mori is a skull, but coffins, hourglasses, and wilting flowers have also been used. The origins of the phrase date back to ancient Rome, where it was believed that people who accompanied generals on victory parades would whisper memento mori to them as a reminder of the fragility of their life during their proudest moments. In Christianity, it is used to urge followers to turn away from earthly desires and focus on what will happen to them in the afterlife, whether they will end up in heaven or hell. Thank you all so much for another amazing year of Inktober. Happy Halloween! Borley Rectory was built in 1862 and quickly became known as the most haunted house in England, with the ghost nun being one of its more prominent hauntings. According to local folklore, a monk from a monastery fell in love with a nun from a convent nearby. They planned on running away together, but after being discovered, they were sentenced to be punished, but the nun suffered a far worse fate. Brick by brick, the nun was sealed behind the walls of the convent. Her spirit has been seen roaming the land surrounding Borley, searching for her lover in hopes of running away together once more. Although many have questioned the validity of this story, there's no doubt that Borley has had its fair share of hauntings and paranormal sightings. In 1939, the house was burnt to the ground, but many people still report seeing ghostly figures on the property. Ghost of Ouya is one of the most famous Japanese tales of betrayal and ghostly revenge. Ouya was married to a man named Iyamon, who grew to resent her over time. He became interested in a wealthy woman named Oume, and so he devised a plan to get rid of Ouya so that he could marry her. He offered Ouya a poison that he had disguised as medicine, and she drank it without hesitation since she trusted her husband. After drinking the poison, large clumps of her hair started falling out and her face slowly became disfigured. Frustrated that the poison did not work, Iyamon took Ouya on a walk up to a cliff and pushed her off the edge. Shortly after, Iyamon started planning a wedding with Oume. On the day of their wedding, when Iyamon lifted the veil off Oume's face, he saw Ouya instead. Iyamon drew his sword and cut Ouya's head off, but when he took another look, he saw that it was actually Oume. Horrified by his actions, Iyamon ran to the cliffs with several of the wedding guests chasing after him. Before they could reach him, they saw a ghostly woman push him over the edge of the cliff. Thanatophobia is the overwhelming fear of passing on. People with this phobia tend to obsessively think about this happening, either to themselves or to their loved ones. Throughout history, people often pondered what happens to us after we pass on. However, people with thanatophobia experience immense challenges thinking about their futures. This existential anxiety often stems from the basic knowledge that ultimately every life must come to an end, and often their obsessive awareness of this turns into them refuting that it will happen at all. Here's the version that I came up with in 2018. I've definitely used this skull mask motif quite a bit in my drawings, but I'm pretty sure this was the first time that I ever used it. As always, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 15. Wiccaphobia is the fear of witches or witchcraft. The most widespread case of this was, of course, during the Salem witch trials, where the fear of witchcraft was so prominent that many innocent people were condemned due to mass wiccaphobia. Wiccaphobia has its roots in the fear of the unknown. What the mind cannot perceive or deems unusual, it fears. Religious beliefs and folklore fuel this fear even further, with several childhood stories reinforcing witches as evil beings. This is the version from 2018. As always, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 20.
I go where I want to, but I'm stuck in my bedroom. I'm telling lies to keep myself from hurting those around you. Yeah, after all these years I found you again. Sorry, please excuse me for my mess. My heart's been pouring through my chest. I fell through corridors of broken floors. I'm sorry that
Giulia Tofana was a professional alchemist who lived in Italy during the 17th century. During this time, women had no financial or social power and often found themselves in unhappy marriages. Giulia created a poison and sold her concoction to wives who wished to get rid of their husbands. She eventually gained a reputation as a friend to troubled women and reportedly played a part in poisoning over 600 people over the course of 20 years. Her poison was tasteless, untraceable, and disguised in a makeup bottle labeled Aqua Tofana. This poison would take several days to take its full effect and was even undetectable after passing. Eventually, a client of Giulia's went to serve her husband a bowl of soup with a drop of Aqua Tofana. Just as he went to eat it, she had a change of heart and begged him not to eat it. She confessed what she had done, and in 1709, Giulia Tofana was executed. Cardiophobia is the overwhelming fear of the heart or having heart problems. People with this phobia may come from a family with a history of heart disease and will avoid anything that tends to increase their heart rate. Oftentimes, the symptoms that they associate with heart problems are actually caused by their anxiety. For someone with cardiophobia, it's difficult to see the difference between the two. It's common for someone with cardiophobia to either make excessive medical appointments or avoid them altogether. They have persistent intrusive thoughts about heart.
Oh, you want to play psycho killer? Can I be the helpless victim? Okay, let's see. No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel.
I made this and posted it last year on this day. So here's its anniversary. Let's celebrate it, okay? It's a pumpkin. Do you see the sparkly background? Are you aware of it? Can you see it? Can you appreciate it? This was beloved last year, so I hope to make more this year. I haven't. I also need to do more sparkly backgrounds. I need to get into that again. Why haven't I been doing that? I love that. But we can stop talking about the sparkly background. And let's talk about this green color. That sure is vibrant. That is an electric. That is a green. I did the classic orange, pumpkin orange, but then I did this little yellowy peach color. Okay, what color are we gonna do next? We're still on this one? Okay. I am adding flowers around him. There's a white flower, and there's leaves, as if he is just overgrown. And, oh, there's purple. We got light purple. We got dark Halloween purple. We got stars in the background, because you can never have too much sparkle. And now I'm outlining away. I'm having a great time. This is usually my least favorite time, actually. I lied. I like painting, where I can be even more carefree. I am carefree when I do my outlining, but still, when I'm painting, I can make mistakes, because the outlining is when I go and fix them. So, you know, if there's a weird blob somewhere, I got to make that into something, and sometimes I don't know what to make it. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Past me. And then past me is like, future me? You got this, but I don't. And so it's just a constant thing, and that's super cool. Oh my gosh, we're done. This is an art print in my shop. I have the original because I love her. Maybe you know what? Look how well she matches. She's got to stay there. Okay, love you, bye.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Welcome to day 1 of Inktober 2023. Right off the bat, I have to confess that I thought it was finally time to replace my old crusty palette from 2018.
Shing, sparkle, sparkle.
It was just its time. I know some people love her, some people hate her, but we were due for an upgrade, and the old palette can finally retire. So let's all pause for a quick moment of silence, and let's talk a little bit about our first phobia, arachnophobia. Holding the title of the most common phobia in the world, arachnophobia is the intense fear of spiders and other arachnids. Some people think the fear comes from a survival instinct that has been passed down from our ancestors as an evolutionary adaptation to fear spiders due to the harm they can sometimes cause. The fear can also develop during childhood if a child sees their parents exude a strong fear of spiders themselves. I'm so happy with the way this one turned out, and I can't wait to share the rest with you all. As always, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 2.
Artists, have we figured out what October drawing challenge we're doing this year? Because we only got a couple more days to decide. Now, we've all heard of Inktober, but there's a bunch of different drawing challenges floating around the internet this year, so I made a video the other week asking to see, what you guys were thinking of doing. So I just wanted to compile all of your suggestions into this video, so, we all have just one spot where we can see what our options are. Now, what I normally do is I kind of jump from challenge to challenge. I kind of see what prompt sparks joy, invokes the Halloween spirit, because this is all about having fun, okay? No one should take these drawing challenges too seriously. So some of these are from Instagram, some of these are from TikTok. Let's go through the First up, Mab's Drawloween Club. I always do this one every year, because really my only criteria for a good October drawing challenge is I want the prompts to make me think Halloween. I want to feel spooky when I'm drawing things in October. Okay, now we got 100 Days of Halloween Happy. Got some, like, you know, spooky stuff, some cutesy stuff, some really open-ended prompts. I think you could really work with this list. Okay, next up, Tragictober. Here you go. Much like the name suggests, this one gets a little bit more, leans more into the horror. It's a little bit more gory. We got some definite spooky vibes coming. Then we have Mystical Witchtober. Witchtober is also a really popular moniker for these drawing challenges. These ones are cute. I like them. This person is, I believe, Morse on TikTok, so they came up with their own drawing challenge. I like it. I like when you get a list that kind of has some open-ended prompts and some more specific prompts. Another person on TikTok, Drawingtober. Oh, that's the first time I've heard of Drawingtober. This is Ideal Draw over here on TikTok. You want to go check that one out. Peachtober. This one was suggested a lot. I've never heard of Peachtober before. Gonna be honest, I'm probably not gonna do this one. Not enough, like, pure Halloween vibes for me, but hey, that's okay. And that's it. That's all we got so far. A lot of these challenges also have options for weekly prompts instead of having one every day, which I like because it shows that we're prioritizing our sanity. And if drawing a picture every day is too much for you, that's totally cool. Don't do that. Anyways, leave any more suggestions in the comments below.
Tears falling down at the party. Saddest little baby in the room.
Happy Halloween.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul. Still you're doomed tonight. Spooky, scary skeletons speak with such a screech. You'll shake and shiver.
Isabel Gowdy, also known as the Queen of Witches, lived in Scotland in the 17th century when witch hunts were on the rise. She is regarded as one of history's most important witches, and her confessions are some of Scotland's first recorded accounts of a witch trial. Over a period of 6 weeks in 1662, she made 4 confessions to witchcraft. Using torture to obtain confessions was outlawed in Scotland, but it's highly speculated that her confessions were made while these methods were used. Her first confession described an encounter with the devil where she renounced her baptism and the devil placed their mark on her shoulder. In other confessions, she claimed that she could shapeshift into other animals, and she eventually gave the names of her fellow coven members. As a result of her statements, 41 people were arrested. Today, her trial is regarded as one of the most remarkable witchcraft cases on record. The Babanshee is a vampiric female creature from Scottish folklore that shares similar traits with the succubus. These mystical creatures appear as beautiful young women who lure their victims in before attacking them and draining their blood. The Babanshee were withdrawn creatures who usually roamed the forest to seek their prey. They would wear long white dresses to hide the hooves they had instead of feet, which would easily give their supernatural nature away. They would often prey on hunters resting at night around a fire when one of them would express their desire for female company. Not long after, the Babanshee would appear and invite them to dance. The men would dance with them until they grew too exhausted to overpower the Babanshee, and that is when they would attack. A reliquary is a container that holds objects of religious significance from the past. A reliquary usually contains physical remains of a saint that are used as a tangible memorial. Commonly, reliquaries contain teeth, skulls, pieces of clothing, or some object associated with saints or other religious figures. The earliest forms of reliquaries were simple boxes, sometimes designed in the likeness of the church it was being kept in. Others were made to resemble the face of the saint they were honoring, and many of them have clear windows used to view the relic inside.
Bye.